All right. Tonight's topic is, as we know, this is the final round for the polygamy discussion. A lot of information shared in the last two, a lot of varied opinions, and a lot of good insight. I think most of us here know that basically all of the shows that we do are based on my original Buzzard Goat series. It's about what a municipality is, how it works, and what it is not, and why would any melanated person live there. Okay, it's Buzzard Gulch, part 1, 2, and 3 on YouTube. My channel's Qorgone Experience. Let's talk. Go check it out if you haven't checked it out. But now, everything that we have done thus far fits under those same headings. I do a lot of prep videos in case the lights go out. You can have this to make light and communication. And I did knives. I did one on drones. I want to do more on drones because not enough of our people are doing that, but in my opinion. But right now, we're going to finish up on a polygamy talk. Basically, some of the sisters had some varying opinions about it, and some of the brothers had. So as you know, I am an advocate of polygamy, but only in reference to being outside of these municipalities. If you have land and resources and different kinds of wealth to share with the next generations and to acquire land and wealth, I think that that is important. And it is a integral part of the growth cycle for us to come out of the state that we are in as a people, whether it be financially, whether it be mentally, whether it be spiritually, whether it just be socially, where we can all come together and get along with each other and begin to dilute the influence of that westernized mind. Okay? Now, like I said, if you have land to divvy up between your wives and your children, I'm an advocate of that. Polygamy in the inner cities, why everybody can't move out of the cities, I don't see the necessity for it within the municipalities. I don't. So what we're going to do, we're going to just go around the room. I'll start with you, Big, and everybody's just going to give their view on it, and we're just going to jump in and finish up. If we have any questions or comments about anything that was said in the previous show, feel free to jump in with it at any time. All right, Big, I'll go with you first.
What was that a question? I mean, to piggyback off of what you said, I agree with you in the city limits. I think that's more of a headache,
right,
than than building. Because then you almost get you can almost get the intention of just people being stacked on top of people.
Yeah.
And we know how that environment is when we see those type of things happening. It gets hectic, it gets frustrating, and it's more tension than benefit with something like that within the city limits. So I agree with you 100% on that.
Quick question, Big. As a man, are you for polygamy or against it personally?
Personally, I'm for it.
Okay. Listen,
in the right setting, in the right purpose.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just not all willy nilly. Oh yeah, let's just stack some honeys. It's just it's not that, because
right.
with every person, and I'm not just gonna say every woman, but with every person you add, it's another personality to add to the environment, and we got to try to find a way to make that piece fit in the puzzle. Okay. So when you have more space and more space to breathe and more things to be done. People are occupied in a different way, and you see the purpose. The purpose is larger when you're out and you're trying to develop something for generations, as opposed to, not saying that that's what they're not trying to do in the city. People that do it, but I just see it has to be a very special group of people to be able to do that within the city limits.
Right. All right. Sister Bastet, your thoughts?
Peace, everybody.
Peace.
So for me personally, no, I'm not for polygamy, but I feel that it's an opportunity for others who are built for that.
Right.
I personally don't feel that I'm built for that, primarily because I lived in a home where, my father was the man of the house, my mother was the mother, and they had a beautiful relationship. They were together for over 55 years. She took care of him when he was sick, and he's gone, but I don't see myself fitting into that. That being said, based on the conversation that we had with the ladies, it just opened me up to the fact that there are women who are built for that. There are women who are built for communal living, that whole type of environment. And I feel like it is an opportunity for us to expand our communities exponentially. I also feel that there are a lot of children out here that don't have mothers, who don't have fathers. They're homeless, they're in shelters. So there's still an opportunity for us to reach out to the children that are here, so that maybe they're not just a lost cause. We don't have to necessarily start from scratch with new babies. There are lots of babies that are out here that when we move out to the rural areas, we can start adopting and inviting some of these children in, giving them a different perspective on how they can live. So those are my thoughts.
Okay. Basha, what are your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts are that um, I'm not really for it.
Okay.
If I had to be in a position where it might occur, it would be difficult for me because, just like we had the conversation the last time, because women feel like this is my man and I don't want to share him. But to do it as a community and for us to work together to build something for the generation behind us, it's something that I may consider, but it's not at the top of my list. It's not something that I'm going to jump in and just say, yeah, let's do it. But it will take some maturity within myself and to put aside my own feelings and maybe look at a bigger picture and say, could I, whether the communication would be the most important thing to me to know if I could do it between me and the person that I'm with.
Okay. Okay, Sister Idea, good evening. How are you?
Good evening. Hello.
Okay,
Peace and love to everyone.
Good evening. Before I begin to speak, I had mentioned it to you before. I just need you to know, so many people reached out to me because of your responses. They were like, who is this person? And they were just like chomping at the bit. They're like, man, I thought I was gonna have 50 people in here tonight, but I think everybody's getting ready for commercial holiday. But so many people responded to the responses. That's why if I bring you up last, please don't take it personal. It's just like, hey, I want to get everybody out of the way, and you just go. All right. So how you doing? And first give your feelings about it. Are you for or against it? And whatever else you want to add. I'm going to be quiet.
Okay. Well, as you were going around the panel, I was thinking about that question. Am I for it? Am I against it? I'm definitely not against it.
Mm-hmm.
But at this point of my life, if the opportunity posed itself to me, whether I would be in a polygamous relationship or not, probably not.
Right.
And I think the reason why, I'm comfortable where I am,
Mm-hmm.
you know, in my
Yes.
life and the way that it is.
Right.
Now, if something drastic were to happen in our society, and being in a polygamous relationship would be the saving grace of our people,
Mm-hmm.
I'm down,
Okay.
you know, because I love my people. So if it came to a situation where I would have to do something in order to save us, I would.
Right.
Okay.
All right. Okay.
The question you asked about,
No,
I'm
go
sorry.
ahead. Go
The
ahead.
question you asked about, can we, I think this is the question, can it work in the cities, or would it be more conducive in rural areas?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, I personally think it could be done in the cities as well as the rural areas. And let me explain that. Okay. As I was talking about polygamy before, it's a reason for it to happen. It's not something that people just jump up and say, okay, I think I want to have multiple partners just because.
Right.
No, you're doing it because you're trying to build a community. You're trying to upgrade your family life, okay?
Right.
So if there are people who say have little and they live in the city and they decide I want to try to build and have more, they can start in the city. They can start building in the city
Right.
so that they
Right.
can maybe move out of the city if that's
Okay.
their preference. You see
Okay.
what I'm saying?
Yes.
But I don't think location should limit, you know, your choice of whether or not you can be successful with polygamy.
Okay. Okay. I understand that. As I said before, my position on not supporting polygamy in the inner cities is only for the fact of what the sister has said on the other call about what's in it for the female. Okay. In other words, if we're in the city and you join my family, are you coming into the same building as my other wives, or what's in it for you? What am I giving to you? What are you bringing, and what am I bringing, and what am I giving? Okay. Now I think we pretty much here are aware of the fact that for the most part, in a general sense, women outlive men. So from that, me understanding that from the average perspective, I'm of the opinion that in order for us to build, there has to be financial, psychological, and support for the females in order for not just the union and the family to be happy, but for the female to feel comfortable that if anything should metamorphosize or change into something else, that she now has something to move into, that she can either continue with the family or call her own, and not look at it like, well, I put into this, what did I get out of it? Did I waste my time or whatever? And that's my thinking on that. Anybody want to chime in on that before we move on? All right. All right. So the next point, I'm just recapping some of the things from the previous shows, both male and female. Everybody pretty much brought up maturity. In order for us to do this, there has to be a certain level of maturity for the two things. And pretty much everybody said that it would only, and I'm in agreement as well, it would only be viable if there was an extenuating circumstances such as a breakdown in the economic system that we live in and we know of today. And even though I don't think, in my opinion, that's not the only reason for us to do it, but I understand that the majority of people would only be interested in supporting it in that arena. So here's my question to everyone. We spoke to the maturity level of the individuals that have to be involved. Okay, what are some of the things that females would be looking to the males for as far as maturity to make them feel comfortable to enter into such a situation? Any female, I'm gonna start with the females first. What would you have to see and hear from a male in order to do that? Now, let's just say that before we begin, the social climate, I'll just call it that, is at the place you were not with it, but the social climate has changed for the purpose of protection and the purpose of, hey, I need to get with a team because there are only teams out there and the individuals are not doing well on their own. Okay, we are already there. We're already past that. Now, I see where it could be advantageous to join a family or a community situation. I'm going to address that or thing later. But for right now, to join a family, what, in your female opinion, what should a female be looking for in order for her to even consider doing that at this stage? Anybody? Don't rush in all at once. Okay, Bassett, I'm picking on you. Come on. Cat got her tongue.
Oh, wow. So I would say, from the man, wow. There would be a leadership component that would have to be there. The organizational skills, communication would have to be top of mind. And then, there's the financial component. So let's pretend that I was, younger, like in my 20s,
Understood.
And, this catastrophe around the world is happening. So I would say what I would be bringing to the table is the fact that I was of childbearing age, which is like the greatest asset that, a woman can bring, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I would be bringing that ability to bring forth children, homemaker, supportive, domestic, gardening, all those things that a woman should be in support of her man in this communal setting. And financial support, knowing that I'm taken care of financially, where I'm not even worried about that. I'm focusing on the family and the next generation and protecting the children, feeding my family, and being a support in this community.
Sorry. Okay, Bosh?
I would say that, okay, if I was in a relationship and, things were changing in the world and we decided to bring someone in our household, my thing is how would you pick the person that you would choose? Would it be a family member? Would it be a friend? Would it be a stranger? I mean, when I said earlier about the communication,
Mm-hmm.
the bond between the person that I'm with, my spouse, boyfriend, or whomever, the communication would definitely have to be strong, because I need to know, like you said, who are we bringing into our family, in our household? What is their upbringing? What is their background? How will we take care of children? the financial part of it, where would we live? I mean, those would be a lot of my concerns. I mean, because we've already set up, established our own family, and to invite someone else's in, then, you know, we would have to know a lot to me about that person.
Okay, but here's my question to you. I'm gonna reiterate. Okay, you have not necessarily you, but a female who is really not for this, down for this. Political climate, social climate has changed. What do you think, in your opinion, what do you think she should be looking for? Remember, she may not be able to sit down and read this person's resume, right? So basically, what she has to go on is what is going on already. And she says, okay, I'm going to get with this one as opposed to that one, because if I'm out here by myself, I don't think that's a good look. My question to you as a female, okay, what should someone in that position be looking for, in your opinion? You're not in the inside. You're not on the inside. You're talking about a person on the outside. What should they be? What would they, as a female, either you or someone else, what would they have to see in order for them to be even considering your team, that team? In other words, what I'm saying, that family.
Well, I would say that she would have to look at how he handles other females, or if he's with someone, how does he handle the family? Is he a strong man? Can he provide for everyone? Could he provide for me? You know, to know that he is not an abuser, whether it's verbally or physical.
Okay.
I mean, those are the things I think they should look at. Does he communicate well? How well does he carry himself out in public? How well does he speak? Does he have an education or not? You know, how does he treat his mother if she's alive? You know, you look at those kinds of things.
Wow. You fixed the idea. You're next. No, that's a good point. That's a good point. That's a good point, because about the mother, because it struck a nerve. So, okay, that's good. Anything else?
Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Okay. Go ahead, Sister Beck. I saw her when she hit a nerve. So you chime in anytime.
Oh, no. My mother was telling me she's going to bed, so I was just saying good night to her.
Oh, okay. Because for a minute I was like, oh man, she said mother. I was like, okay. So now, in your opinion, same thing. Woman was not really considering it, but now it's beginning to look like a necessity. I need to be on a team, a family, a community. I have to do this. What should this young woman be looking for?
Okay, let me kind of speak personally.
Okay.
What I would be looking for in the male as being the head of the polygamous relationship, I would be looking for someone who is able to lead, who's able to take charge, who is a worker, who is able to make decisions and come up with solutions. Someone who has his family at the forefront of everything that he does.
Good point.
Someone who is able, like everyone else says, someone who is able to provide for his family. But when you go into that with us being American people, it's okay. First of all, you would have to define how you want your polygamous relationship to be, because here in the US, you know, most women, they can hold their own and they're not looking for someone to actually take care of them.
Okay.
100%. I mean, we work and we do things just like the men do. So you would have to define, I guess, what you would want your roles to be in that type of situation. Is the woman going to be working to bring in some type of income, or is this man going to be the one that's bringing in all of the income? What is everybody going to bring to the table? So when you're looking at the male as the lead, is he going to be able to accept his partners working, or does he want them to be at home taking care of children, taking care of the household? You know, what you have to define the roles. He has to be able to be comfortable with letting the woman be the woman, and he has to be comfortable within himself being the man. And roles need to be established between the two. I think right now, the way we are here, people are still trying to figure it out. Well, should he wash dishes, or do I wash dishes, or do I take out the trash? I'm a woman, or is it his role to take out? We're still trying to figure all of that out. Some people, but yeah, to me, he has to be able to do his role. He has to be comfortable in doing his role, whatever his role is.
Okay. All right, Big. You look like you got a cheek full of stuff to say, so I'll just let it rip, man. Let it rip.
I'm just taking it all in, bro. I'm just taking it all in. I mean, I actually I agree with what she's saying. I mean, if you're gonna say you're gonna take on this massive obligation, then you need to have the resources or a solid plan,
right,
to be able to execute. And I hate to say, but the state of our men, we got some solid brothers that's out here, but we got a lot of women, a lot of men that haven't been raised by men.
Right.
So they lack certain things. They may lean because they're used to taking orders, or taking I'm gonna say it, taking orders from a woman.
Mm-hmm.
They may go into their marriage in that position, and that's out of order.
Right.
So how do we fix, that's a whole nother, I know it's another topic, but how do we fix that? Because those men can't do this.
Exactly.
And we're in this was the pandemic. I look at it as a trial run for people to decide what is it that you need. Okay. There's a ton of independent women that were in this pandemic not feeling so independent anymore because of the structure that was in place was built by men, maintained by men, but they don't look at that as the catalyst of what's holding up society until the pandemic hit. And you had women, basically freaking out in situations they didn't want to go out to the store. I mean, we don't know what this thing is doing. When it first hit in March, when they actually gave it a name, and it first hit, and the numbers of people dying and people getting sick and all of these things going on. Now you got some single women that may have children, and they're like, well, what happens if I just go to the store to try to make sure that I got food for me and my kids? What if something happens to me? What happens to my kids? And see, we're out of, like, where we are now. There's so many, like Sister Bay said, there's, women can take care of themselves for the most part, but they don't. The premise nowadays is that I don't need a man. That's the premise. So how do we even build this polygamist environment and this is the thing, even if all the men and women were married, it'd still be a ton of women that were left over. So this is the reality of what we're not talking about, that we need to talk about to add this to the conversation.
Yeah, that's coming.
There is women. If every male and female were paired up and married, there would be a huge amount of women still left over that may want to be married. What happens there? And I think that's what we need to add to this conversation.
Well, okay. Well, being that you brought that up, that is exactly my reason for this whole exercise, because that is something that I know is a reality. And in certain places, that is actually coming to the forefront right now. Hey, there's not enough brothers. One, two, there's not enough good brothers. Hence the term, wait a minute, we have to rethink this thing. What are we going to do? This forces us to deal with each other on a more intimate level. All right, so everybody got their point across on that. Let me kind of chime in just a little bit and move to the next question. Well, what can we do as males? Like, okay, let me back up for a second because I'm going to go somewhere else with that. In my place as a man and provider, I like Sister Bay said, we see a lot of independent women. I don't need a man. I'm a professional. I'm a doctor. I'm a lawyer. And, you know, the guy might be a maintenance worker. You know, I come from a law enforcement background. So it is kind of in my nature for me to lead, to kind of in a de-escalatory kind of way to suggest and to de-escalate things and try to, shepherd in a way, if you will, to keep the peace. So that's kind of my nature anyway. But the thing about it is, you have sisters that, hey, listen, I'm a professional. Okay. We all know that the money system is changing. Cryptocurrency is the new currency. And a lot of us are not really savvy with that yet. But that's where it's going. Gold and silver still have their value. If you don't have any, get some. That's all I have to say on that. Okay. Gold and silver still rules. Silver is cheaper than gold. And it's out there and it's close to you. That's all I have to say. But now we're moving into the cashless society. Travel is being limited because of whether or not you've been inoculated or not. Okay? There are other issues at hand. It's like what Sister Bay said. What will it take for a single professional woman? Let's just say for this next part of the exercise that the woman is not of childbearing years. She's not. Okay, she's not old lady, but that's gone for the most part. Now, that means that you have a level of maturity, a level of experience. What's the word I'm looking for? A calmness, within yourself. Most mature women are pretty, that I find, on average, are pretty secure within themselves. What thing has to be adjusted in your personality that will cause you to submit yourself to another man? Now I'm saying this and I'm putting this out there for all, not just the females, but Big, you can jump in here anytime too. Consider this. The melanated man has not been in his rightful place with the melanated woman for at least 2,000 years. Okay? For the most part, the majority of us, we don't even know what that looked like. Now, Big, I know that you grew up in a household with your mother and your father. Bosh, I know you did. Bassett, I know you did. I did not. Okay? I come from a single parent home. I was raised by my mother. Okay, so consider this. I don't really like the alphabet terms that they're using these days, alpha, beta, deca, kappa, all that stuff. All I know is that I've been a male my whole life. Okay. And even as a child, I was independent. That's the term I will use. I'm not going to say alpha, beta, nothing, because I don't really subscribe to that. But I was always independent. And as a child, I would take instruction well. It's like, no, I'm doing that. No, I'm not doing that. You can punch me, but I'm not doing that. And I've always kind of been focused. I've always been focused. So what I'm saying is that now that I move into this, I run, later on, now that things are changing in front of my eyes, I've been telling people about this for years, but now what I'm seeing is all of these independent women, strong women, good women, intelligent women. How do we help them help us and help themselves? Because in their mind, it's like what Big said. You got independent women who've been programmed that they don't need a man. You know, I've even heard some brothers who think, well, you know, I'm not going to get married, or, you know, because of the way the system works, and I don't really need a woman. I think that's foolishness. But what are some of the things that we could do to bridge the gap and fix the deficit? Because we're going to have to live together, and the possibility of joining households is upon us. How do we bring it into a tangible, right here in your face? I'm going to have to deal with this. You got strong independent man, you got strong independent woman. How do we bring those two people together? Minus the children, childbearing, because that would mean you bringing in a younger female. Okay, because we're going to go to that one next. But right now, we're talking about the strong, independent men and women, for the lack of a better term, alphas. Okay? How do we come to the conclusion that we are going to combine our assets? And the other thing that I want to add is money. How, as a man, Big, I'm going to go to you for a second. I'm going to let you start this off. She's got to give me her money, all of it. And I'm going to have to be the custodian of it for the sake of the entire family. Is that okay? No, don't shake your head yet.
I'm just listening. I'm just
yeah. Don't shake your head yet. Is that acceptable to you to take on that responsibility? And if she is not willing to do that on a 100% basis, one, is that acceptable to you? If not, how do you feel that should work? Go for
in the we're talking about in the polygamous realm, right?
Okay, wait. Let's say pre-polygamy for this exercise, simply because we are trying to bring it in now. And some of the things to be considered is, if you are the head and they accept you as the head, then all resources come to the manager, if you will.
Right. Indeed. Yes.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I agree with that. But also, I'm pretty good with money. It doesn't mean that the money comes in and I'm a tyrant with the money. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm just saying for that person. I'm not saying necessarily me per se.
Mm-hmm.
But there has to be someone to direct traffic. You know, there's lines on the street for a reason, so we have order. So there's an order and a process of how everything works. Now, if I had a woman that I know that's more talented and she's proven that she's more talented with the finances, then that's something that we could work with. But it's all one-to-one the way I see it. I don't think there's one way to do everything. I think if you have a strong man, I'm a strong, I'm a strong guy. I got a strong personality. People around me know, but I'm fair. The one dominant major thing about me is that I'm fair.
Okay.
So if a woman, with me is not going to worry about, she's not going to have that feeling of something doesn't feel right, something's not right. I feel like I'm being abused or whatever, blah, 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 blah. But because the experience with me is that I'm fair.
Okay.
That's been an ongoing experience. So I would say, yes, it has to come this way, and then I can divvy it up or move it around for the benefit of everyone.
Okay,
All
hold
the
on.
decisions. Go ahead.
Okay, hold on. 100%. Let's say you have a wife that's, I don't know, a doctor. She's a professional.
Mhm.
Okay. Are you looking for 100% of her finances or a portion of her finances?
It depends on the situation. But it's a pot. See, this is where the breakdown is in our society right now, because there are a lot of professional women that out and they want somebody that earns equal or more to them. But most average guys, the average income for a black man is about $42,000 a year. So let's say you got this doctor and she meets a guy that she really likes, but he only makes $42,000 a year. That's how much he gonna make for the rest of life. The way society has been set up is that women always expect for the man to take care of. Now, can he take care of her? Yes, he can. He just may not be able to meet all the financial obligations. But with them pooling the resources, because see, our community used to be about family,
Mm-hmm.
and now because we've had this independent women era or decade or 2 decades or 3 decades that's been going on, it's another trick to weaken the black family, and it's working because if you look past, women can look past all these other things, but if the money ain't right, you got on win in 9 out of 10 cases. If the money ain't, if he ain't out earning me, he can't make equal or out earn me, not the guy for me. And what that does is break down our society, because right now we're looking at 30% of black people being married. 30%.
Yeah.
Because I'm a numbers guy. So right now, these are the numbers. And you can look this up on blackdemographics.com, stats for black people. Okay. So right now, black people as a whole, 30% are married, 50% have never been married, 12% are divorced. That includes, let me say without spouse, that includes about 12%, 6% widowed, 3% separated. Black men, 33% married. Black women, 27% married. There's our problem right there. That's our biggest problem. We haven't figured out how to come together, and I think we've been sold a bill of goods that is no good. The biggest part of our issue, we gotta, if everything else lines up, the finances are supposed to come together for the family. If we could get back to the family mindset instead of this independent mindset, we'll be better off as a people. We talking about building polygamous relationship. We got to build some one-on-one relationships before we can get it into the expansion of that when in desperate times. But we have to understand sometimes these things that have been sold to us are sold to us and given to us as a detriment to our society. It just weakens us, repeatedly weakens us, because you look back 30 years ago and the numbers were twice as many black people married. And you can't have community if you don't have families. That's my piece. You got on win in 9 out of 10 cases. If the money ain't, if he ain't out earning me, he can't make equal or out earn me, not the guy for me. And what that does is break down our society, because right now we're looking at 30% of black people being married. 30%.
Yeah.
Because I'm a numbers guy. Right. Let me share the screen real quick just to share this with y'all in the comment. You allow me to share, sir?
Yeah. Let's see. Come on. Let's see if I can. I'm not sure how to do that.
All right. Well, anyway, I'll just read the statistics.
Okay.
I'll just read them. So right now, these are the numbers. And you can look this up on blackdemographics.com, stats for black people. Okay. So right now, black people as a whole, 30% are married, 50% have never been married, 12% are divorced. That includes, that's let me see, without spouse. That includes about 12%, 6% widowed, 3% separated. Black men, 33% married, black women, 27% married. There's our problem right there. That's our biggest problem. We haven't figured out how to come together, and I think we've been sold a bill of goods that is no good. You know, that's just the way that I see it. So we have to understand. Are y'all still with me? Hello? Did I lose y'all?
Yeah. No, I'm here.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. I didn't hear anybody
We
respond.
can hear
Okay.
you.
All right, because I
We
had
can hear
switched
you.
the screen. So the biggest part of our issue, we gotta, if everything else lines up, the finances are supposed to come together for the family. If we could get back to the family mindset instead of this independent mindset, we'll be better off as a people. We talking about building polygamous relationship. We got to build some one-on-one, relationships before we can get it into the expansion of that when in desperate times. But we have to understand sometimes these things that have been sold to us are sold to us and given to us as a detriment to our society. It just weakens us. Repeatedly weakens us, because you look back 30 years ago and the numbers were twice as many black people married. And you can't have community if you don't have families. That's my piece. You still on mute, Q.
All right. Sister Bay. Sister Bay. Okay. You're a professional woman. I'm using you for an example. You could take it as someone else. You make more money than a person whose household you may want to join. Now, remember, for the most part, we're not talking about women of childbearing age. So children are not a factor in this. This is just, we may need mature women, like you said, for their professionalism, their experience. They could be a financial person. They could be a doctor. They could be a lawyer. You see what I'm saying? All of those gifts and talents need to come into the family. So here's the question. Could you, in part or in whole, surrender up your salary to this individual? How hard would that be for you, and what would be your mindset in that?
To surrender my finances.
Yes. All or in part.
Oh, I could do that because I've done it.
Mm-hmm.
I've been married before.
Okay.
And the way we did the finances, we put our money in the pot.
Mm-hmm.
Took out everything we needed to, get the bills done, take care of business, take care of home.
Okay.
What was left over, we split it.
Okay.
And it worked perfect.
Okay.
It worked perfect. So I know it can be done if it's done that way. I don't have a problem coming up with some plan, or as long as I know it's a plan that we're going to stick with, right, and everybody's in agreement.
Right.
We would have to decide, how are we going to do our finances? Do I want to bring my paycheck and put it in his account and let him have his way with it? Or do I bring some to the table and have his way with it, and then I have my own to do as I please? So this is something that has to be agreed upon by the parties that are involved.
Okay, good enough. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. All right, Bosh, your thoughts?
I like what they just said about, we coming together and, taking care of everything bill wise in the household. And then what's left to be able to split that, and you do what you want with that, your half. I do what I want with my half. But as a whole, the house is being taken care of. I think that would be a great thing. I don't see anything wrong with that.
Okay, Bassett. Now, you've already gotten past the fact that, okay, I'm going to roll with this. Okay, this is not an issue. You're all in. Okay, the sharing of finances, and you may make more equal or more than this individual. How would that work for you?
Well, I would say if I was going into this type of scenario, my thought is that I wouldn't be working. Like, that professional career that I had.
Mm-hmm.
When I move into this scenario, I'm not going to be working for corporate America. I'm going to be working for my family on the other side, in a private capacity. So whatever I produce, whatever I generate on the land with the family, then that's the family. But I would be leaving corporate America. I wouldn't be doing both.
Okay.
I got a question for Sister Bassett here, because when I listen to your answers, I hear a lot of self-directedness. So are you going to be with a man, or are you going to be running the show?
No, I want to be with a man, of course.
Because it sounds like, and I'm not trying to be funny. It just sounds like you got your own plan. Like, this is my plan. I'm gonna bring this to you, as opposed to being under the leadership of your man. And he may say, well, I may need you to stay in corporate for 3 years or something of that nature. Would that be a problem?
Then that's probably not a man that I would choose to be with, because when I think of this type of, to me, the part of the problems that we're having in society is that the mothers are working. The mothers are supposed to be at home raising the children, but they can't raise the children. The children are in daycare. They're over here. They're over there. So I see this as an opportunity of bringing mother back home, bringing mother back with the children, raising the children. And if I was in a scenario, if I'm going to pick a family, then I'm not working corporate America. I'm going to be working at home, whatever that may look like. That could be, doing the family books. That could be working in the garden. It could be a whole lot of things, because I can do a lot of things. But my intention would not be working for the man. I would be working for my family and for my husband.
Right. So let me expand the question then. So therefore, let's say your husband, he's got the financial resources and he has businesses, and he was like, well, I may need you to do this for a couple years.
Absolutely. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So then but that still could be outside of the house.
But it would be for the family businesses. It wouldn't be for Bosch and Lomb. It would be for whatever our family, the Ford family, whatever our corporations, whatever our LLCs are. Absolutely, I would work for those. Right? I would take everything that I've learned working for them, and whatever our businesses are, I would apply my skill sets to that.
Okay. It still
But
seems, and this is no knock, it's just something under my observation. It still seems that, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't have an idea of what type of environment that you want to walk in, because if it's going to work, you want to go into something that you can give 100% to.
Right.
But it may be this is just my viewpoint at this point in the conversation. With you having you seem very focused on what you want and how you want it, and it may not be that way. There may have to be some shifts, and your man may say, well, okay, I understand you want to do this, but this is what the family needs you to do, or this is what I need you to do. How would that work with you?
Again, I would be, if I made the decision to move to this environment, then I'm 100%. And
Okay.
so
So
I'm looking at what's going to benefit the family because again, I'm not working another job. I'm not giving them 10 and 12 hours of my day and then coming home and cooking and cleaning. I'm
But you
here.
see
I'm
what
on
I'm
this
saying
side.
though?
mm,
Go
That's a
ahead.
contradiction. It's a
yeah, right,
contradiction.
right,
What you're saying. I know you're not hearing it, but
Mm-mm.
right. I hear it as well.
it's a direct contradiction to what you're saying because you don't know what your role is going to be. You just determine you don't want to do this, but that may have to be your role. And it may, because when you're starting something new, it doesn't necessarily mean that boom, we can start this way day one. There gonna have to
Mm-hmm.
be
Right.
some sacrificial lambs in the beginning to set the foundation for as we move forward. So there may, this is the thing, and honestly, let me just say this, and I'm not being biased, but men have always done a bunch of things that they don't want to do to take care of their family.
Mm-hmm.
Always, always from the very beginning. So when we talk about shifting into a new society from this standpoint, we're gonna need the same type of cooperation from our women. Not that the men the men that you want to be with is still gonna take the brunt, but it may be you may have to take 10 or 15% of that brunt in the beginning so that the next wave don't have to deal with it, at least from the female standpoint. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. I hear you.
Right. So that's all I'm saying. I'm just saying when you go back and when you look at this show, you may see what it is that I'm saying and how I'm saying. You may not be receiving it right now, and that's cool because we just having the discussion. But
Mm-hmm.
this is for the benefit of us all moving in this direction. So I
Right.
just wanted to say that.
All right. Let me chime in on that. Yeah, Bissett, it's like I understand where your head is and what you want to contribute and how you see yourself contributing. But it's like, hey, listen, plans have taken a turn. You are part of this situation. Plans have taken a turn, and we need all hands on deck. We don't have enough finances to cover this land purchase or whatever we're doing for the future. So I need you to go back and hit the corporate scales because we need to get this certain amount of money up in X amount of time. Would you would be willing to do that?
Yeah, if we're in a scenario where our people are, we're just totally going in the wrong direction, I would make the sacrifice.
Well, no, I'm not saying that you're going in the wrong direction. Let's say we are still, let's use Sister Bay's scenario. We're still urbanites, okay? And we need just a little more money, a little quicker, okay? You're a part of this team now. And the head of the household says, all right, everybody, I need you to jump back into your corporate situation because we have to get this amount of money for this amount of property in this amount of time. And the only way to make that happen is for you to go back to corporate America for the family. Could you follow your leader and
Yeah. Yeah,
submit
I
to
would make
that?
a sacrifice. I would
Okay.
make a sacrifice, yes.
Okay.
And let me add.
Remember you're
add.
you're talking to someone this is not for her, but I'm putting my
Of course,
mindset on what I would do.
of course. Like I said, I'm just looking at this female perspective. That's all we're really looking at, not necessarily you. But go ahead, Big.
Yeah. So let me ask this. So let's say, for example, let's say you are home. You're taking care of the kids. You're doing this. You're doing that, right? And let's say we bring in, or the leadership decides to bring in another female that's younger, less skilled in the marketplace, but can learn what you're doing from you and do that and replace you, and we need you to go back to corporate. Would that be an issue?
I would have to say I don't know. I mean, it sounds like it may be, depending on. I need to understand what the overall goal is. So I don't know.
I appreciate your honesty because it's important
Right.
to have someone like you in this conversation because it makes it more visible to the overall discussion here, because a lot of women really don't understand where they are, where their position is. Your position is not to be a part of something like this unless it's going your way.
My position is to be in a monogamous relationship. That's my position.
Right. I get that. But what we're talking about right now, if the monogamy situation is not an option no more, which that's where we are with this discussion. And I'm saying the reality is we're looking at the survival of the Black family, which is going to save the Black community. So with that on your shoulders, and someone comes in, and this is a family that you are a part of,
right?
And the family is flying. They all have, it's a family goal. It's not individual goals. It's a family goal. So, and the young person may have to come in, and she may have to take that role. You can train her, and you go out, because we look at the marketplace. She may only be worth $20,000 in the actual outside marketplace. You may be worth $80,000 to the family in the marketplace. So do you know what I'm saying? So you still have someone that's in the family there with the kids, not a stranger.
I would say, as long as I understand what the end game is and what the goal is, I don't foresee having a problem with that. Because if I've bought into coming into this community, I've already, sort of bought into the concept of what needs to be done. Obviously, I should have some indication of the finances and what the immediate needs are. So it's like, okay, we need this, then as a family, this is what we need to do. So it's not like things are popping up out of the air. I kind of know, I should know what I'm getting into on day one, right? Because if I have this leader and he's a good communicator and he's, organized, then everything should be on the table. So if I decide to come in and I say yes, then I already know what the short-term and long-term goals are and what the sacrifices are going to have to be. At least at a high level. You're not going to know everything, but it's not going to be something that's out of the blue where it's like, wow, I didn't realize I was going to have to do this.
Let me say this to you, because I understand, and a lot of women are in your position, but I can tell you this: back and this is a personal situation I'm gonna share with y'all. Pre 2006, I worked for a company. I worked for a financial company. I made a lot of money. My kids could have went to any school in the world, and it wouldn't have been a problem. Wouldn't have batted my eye. Wouldn't have mattered. Wouldn't have cared. They could have went anywhere. Anywhere they would have been accepted. I could have covered it. When the market crashed in 2007, although I'm a strong man and I'm a leader in my family, my position was, my company went out of business. My position was eliminated in the marketplace, and I had to find a brand new way to figure things out. So when I talk to women and I hear the language that you use, we don't know what's going to happen. You understand? I had no idea. Now, granted, fortunately, I saved a ton of money, but you know what? That money went faster than I saved it. And we wasn't being extravagant. We didn't lose anything. Fortunately, we didn't lose anything, but we were impacted and we had to move differently. Guess who had the security? My wife's job never had a hiccup.
Right.
Never had a hiccup. I was impacted, which impacted the family, but it didn't impact us to where we lost anything. So
I get that. I mean, that's happened to me and my husband. I lost my job, and he took care of everything until I got my job back. That's the ebb and flow. You know what I'm saying? Right. I'm just saying, when I say things out of the blue, I'm talking about just something just extraordinary, like that would catch me off guard. But if you're losing your job, that, to me, that's normal. Things like that happen. and you try your best to prepare for them, but you may not necessarily be prepared. So as a family, you're either going to fall apart or you're going to come together and you're going to deal with it, because that's an obvious situation where the family needs to come together and support each other.
Right. Well, I'm just saying that was one of those life altering, world changing events, because it's still not the same.
No, I get it.
The world has changed from that period, and the world will be different from this COVID situation right now. So it's ever changing, like you said, the ebb and flows. But not to harp on, I just was talking. I mean, I'm just talking a little more because there's a huge audience of women that are out that stand in your position.
Yeah.
And I get it and I understand it, but the language of that is not conducive of the growth of the Black family, which is not conducive of the growth of the Black community.
And I also think, and I think you're right. I think you're right. You have to realize that, I look at my mother. My mother is everything community. She was at home until I was 8 years old. Who does that today? Who stays home with their kids until they're 8 years old? That's what my mother did. But I was supposed to go to school and get an education. If I had to flip it, if I had to do it all over again, my primary focus would have been having children, starting my family much younger, right?
Yep.
But I didn't get married until I was 44 years old. Right? So this whole time I've been working. So this society has been ingrained in me, and I'm seeing now like, oh, man, my mother was the protocol and I didn't follow it. I followed this other stuff, that was out there.
The other stuff that became popular and the other stuff that became
a detriment to our community and to our families, to structure, to sharing, to building. Now we're all individualized, right? And like you said, women can take care of themselves. So if I'm gonna give up certain things to come over here, it's like, okay, for me, it would be a time for me to be a mother, because I didn't raise my own children. I can help. I love children, and I don't have to bust my butt every day with these people. It's hard. I'd rather be at home and, with my family, taking care of them, as opposed to building up their empire. I'd rather be on this side. So when I say I don't want to be over there, I really don't.
No,
I wish I didn't have to right now.
I get it. And this is why we have to find a way to be more vital in our communities. See, we should be building our own, we should be developing our own neighborhoods and things of that nature, because it could allow us to get back to some of those fundamental things. But black and brown people, from what I've seen and what seems to be going on in society today, is that they're moving into the largest sphere of consumership.
Definitely.
Instead of reinvesting in our families. Because if we were developing, then we know we could build smaller houses so that dad could afford that house.
Right.
Now, and mom could stay home, because it's going to make the next stronger, better, and available. But we've allowed everyone to do something for us, and we pay them above what they should get for it.
Right.
That's where we have to start. We have to pull the reins back and have to understand. There's a book, not to plug, but there's a book called Powernomics.
Right. I'm familiar.
Yeah. Dr. Claude Anderson. And he talks about us not having a proper financial base. That's why we're not respected. If a friend of mine mentioned this to me, she said, you know what, if every mother, when they had a child, every black mother or black family took out $1 million policy on their children, they wouldn't be killing our black and brown people in the street, because every time one of them killed, it's $1 million being paid out. But we got to think from different angles, and we can't keep, this is like, my heart bleeds black community.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly.
So it just, I just want to find a way for us as black men and women to get back on the same page and understand we got to stop giving our money away. We have to invest our money in ourselves. We got women. I look at Sister Bay right now, and I applaud you because it's natural over there. You know, you ain't over there. You ain't got a whole bunch of ridiculous, eyelashes and chemical for your hair and all this stuff. You know, we're losing ourselves in this society. They don't give a damn about us.
Right.
So
Right.
honestly, this polygamy conversation is real. Maybe something we maybe need to do just to pool our finances.
That's exactly why I'm doing it.
Community, and that's in the rural or in the city, to get us back together. We may have to be the generation that sacrifices some of the things that maybe we wanted traditionally that we can't, for the next generation to be able to have it, because somebody has to be taught. We're losing. Our young men are gunning each other down in the street. The other part of them is in jail. We're destroying families over and over again. So I applaud all of you guys for being on here and even having this conversation. But please try to drive home that we've got to think about one another. It just breaks my heart every day.
Everything that we do on my channel is about us resetting the family structure, resetting the finances, resetting the mindset, resetting the relationship between the males and the females, resetting the relationship and the dialogue between the brothers. You never thought about being in a polygynous situation. But if it should ever come up, you know what? I wasn't really down with it, but I see there's nothing else going on out here. Guess what? Maybe I need to holler at that crew, or my girlfriend's got a situation over there that I might want to get into, or at the very least, if you know anybody who's doing what you're doing, maybe I might want to look at that. And as an older brother, I like what you said, Big. Just because it may not be someone that's going to be in a physical relationship, a sexual relationship, that you may want to bring into your household. You may want to mentor the children. You may want to look out for the children. You see what I'm saying? And it's like, hey, while I have no particular interest in that way, in the female, you would be a good addition to the household. What about if that's hands off and, hey, listen, I'll work with you until you find somebody that you want to join their household, whether it be monogamous or polygamous. We haven't talked about that. You know, sometimes you just got to hold them down until they get what they need. That's when you become selfless. That's when the community begins to enlarge. You know, you put community first. You put the children first. You know, I always make a joke and I say that the father is the spare parent, because, you know, kids can go, you know, the mother can go all down the road and do all kind of things. And, you know, they win a scholarship and they're on TV and the first thing that they say, hi, mom. You know, dad put in all the time doing hoops, going to the games, doing that stuff. First thing they do, hi, mom. You know,
it's
because
that connection,
right? Because it is the mother. I like what my man said in that movie, The Crow, and I put it up on my Facebook page every Mother's Day. Mother is the word for God on the mouths of babes and small children. You know, and I like that, like hit me. You know, I was like, yes, mother is the word for God on the mouths of babes and small children, because you have a nation in you, and we have to do what we can to bring them up in the way that they need to go. But now there are some women who need to be mentored. There's some young men that need to be mentored. Watch this. There's some young men and women that need to be grown to maturity through mentorship. Just because you have a child and just because you pass 21 doesn't mean you're not really an adult. You're an adult's body, but you're not really an adult. We all have friends like that, or people that we know. Not necessarily friends, but people that we wish that we could mentor. Well, guess what? maybe it's time that we selflessly start trying to do some of those things and bring us into the next millennium. We all know that times are not changing, they have changed. And there is a new paradigm shift, and there's a new narrative coming at us like a meteor every day.
Mm-hmm.
What are you going to do with the gifts and talents that you've acquired over your lifetime? Those experiences, they need to be shared. You're sitting on gold, you know, and what we're doing here today, we're putting it out there. We're not going to reach everybody. Everybody that watches this, we're not going to reach everybody, but you know what? That one person. It's that one person, okay, that says, hey, maybe I wasn't thinking along those lines, but yeah, maybe that might be a good idea. Or at the very least, hey, well, I'm not interested in the polygamous aspect, but mentorship. Maybe I do need to mentor. Maybe I do need to talk to somebody about my past. Maybe I do need to stop wearing the hair and the nails. Or maybe I can continue to do that, but I can talk to other people about it. You see what I'm saying? So many different aspects of what we're bringing out here today that can set somebody on another path. And that's what we have accomplished here today. And everybody has poured themselves out, because I know a lot of what you said, a lot is what other people are dealing with on a daily basis. And we have to be sensitive to that. Come on,
I was
Sister
just
Bay.
gonna say, it's this concept is new to some people
Mm-hmm.
and old to others. You know, the polygamy aspect, but it's something that goes way back from our ancestors.
Mm-hmm.
You know, once upon a time, this was a part of who we were, and still today in some cultures is still a part of who they are. So when you're talking to people here in the States about polygamy, it's something that's going to have to be tread on lightly until people fully understand what it means to be in that type of relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So in the beginning, and if you have discussions outside of this forum, if you have discussions about this with people, you're going to get a lot of different reactions.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of people here in the West don't really know what it means. I thank you for bringing up the subject matter.
You're welcome.
It might take a lot of convincing for people to actually want to be in that type of relationship. But then for others, they may just get it right away and say, this is what we should have been doing all along so that we can progress. And we don't have to do it as individual people. We can actually come together and form bonds and communities together and thrive. I mean, if that's the way to go about doing it, then hey,
You know,
it might be a viable solution. But we've been taught differently here, and that's why we live the way that we live. But if you kind of go back in time and study our ancestors and study our history, you'll see that there is a different way to live other than what we've been living here in the West.
You know, Sister Bay, that's valuable, because I was just sitting here thinking, and it triggered something in me, that because this has been abandoned or stripped from us from so long ago, could that be why we have the issues that we have today?
That's a definite.
Of course. And I'll say this, the reason why I just said what I said is because I went somewhere. I'm not going to go into depth because I know you're trying to wrap it up.
Right.
I went somewhere and I saw people living a different way that I don't see here in the United States a lot.
Okay.
I saw people on dates. And I mean, when I say go on dates, I mean, I saw people holding hands. I saw whole families together out enjoying the evenings. The man, the woman, the children, all together. I saw people touching one another. I saw hand holding. I saw kissing. You know, when you go outside now, you may or may not even see these things.
Hmm.
But where I saw this, it was normal. It was regular. And it was the most beautiful thing. And so it left me with this impression. And I said to myself, it still happens.
Mm-hmm.
It's still possible.
Yes.
And it's a beautiful thing. But we're missing so much of ourselves. We're missing it. We're missing it. And my heart aches for it. And I wish to see it again. So programs like this, you know, you bringing the information to us and sharing with us, it gives us something to think about. So hopefully it'll have an impact.
I think we covered all the bases, and I had a great time talking to everybody, and we got a lot of points out there. I just want to say this one last thing and bring it home. Polygamy is good, but we need to start mentorship, learning how to communicate with each other, and find a way to bring someone along and share the benefit of the experiences that we had to make ourselves better, and also help with the mental health of the melanated community. We're on a good path. Let's just strive to be better. Everybody, this is Brother Q. Okay. Thanks so much for coming. See you next time.
All right.
Peace.
Thanks for having me.
All right.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.